Hi everyone, welcome to Travelweek webinars. We're here today with Corey Marshall. He's going to be talking to us about Utah, about skiing in the winter, about all the amazing road trips you can do, and how Utah is America's film set with so many stunning backdrops. I've been there myself. It's absolutely amazing. So we're really excited to have him here today. Just a few housekeeping notes. We're going to go through the presentation and then I want to get to all of your questions. So if you can put it in the Q&A box, that's where we'll go through the questions. And the chat box will be for any of your technical concerns, and someone from the Travelweek team will get back to you. And I also want to let you know that there is an awesome prize for those of you who stay till the end. It's a $200 gift card. You know, who couldn't use $200 these days? So make sure you stay till the end, and then we're going to draw a winner. So without further ado, hello, Corey. Hi.
Hi, how are you guys? Good. Thanks to the Travelweek team.
Yeah, so nice to have you here. We're really excited to hear about Utah.
Cool. Well, maybe we'll get straight into it then.
Yes, take it away.
Start the presentation. Hopefully you can see my screen all right.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. Well, the one thing that's kind of maintains itself through the pandemic, actually, and that's fortunate for us as a destination marketing firm, but also for the travel trade, is that Utah has maintained its presence across their international markets, including Canada. And that's positioned us really well. Today, obviously, we're super excited with the announcement by the Canadian government to start to allow vaccinated travelers to come into the country. And we hope that we see that reciprocity this month by the US across the land border. But remember, the air border is open for vaccinated Canadians. And we're excited to welcome them back to Utah. And obviously, we're in summer in Canada, but we're thinking about the fall and possibly some winter travel. So we're going to start with that sort of focus in mind and talk about where we're located and how you can kind of combine a winter ski holiday with a southern Utah road trip. Many of you maybe would have participated in our Walker Tracker initiative, which was something that we ran through the pandemic, and we thank you for that. And you would have walked across many of these states virtually in Canada, but we can't wait to get your feet back on the ground in the state. So for those of you that are just new to Utah, we're located in the western side of the US, surrounded by Nevada, Arizona, Idaho, Colorado, and Wyoming. To get here, you either fly into Salt Lake City, who have direct flights with Delta and Air Canada from many Canadian hubs, or into Las Vegas, which has direct flights from Canada into many more. Many people aren't quite aware, but Zion National Park is only about a 2-hour drive east of Las Vegas. So we're really well situated, especially those southern Utah road trips to Las Vegas as well. Once arriving into Salt Lake City, you can actually see from this photo that its proximity to the Wasatch Mountain Range. It is literally at the base of the mountains. From Salt Lake City Airport, you can be clipped or strapped in and skiing or snowboarding within 45 minutes to an hour drive. There are 10 ski resorts within 45 minutes to an hour of Salt Lake City. And we're talking mega resorts. We're talking like the Sunshines and the Lake Louises of Canada, but right at the doorstep of Salt Lake City. Salt Lake City itself is a vibrant city. It's got huge nightlife, restaurants, entertainment, bars, clubs, the symphony, and of course is home to the Utah Jazz, who have a really strong basketball team and who play, of course, in the winter season. So it's great to combine a jazz game with your winter road trip as well. You can access all of this entertainment from Salt Lake City itself, or if you're staying up in the resorts, it's only a short drive back down into Salt Lake City. I mentioned the 10 resorts less than an hour from the brand new Salt Lake City Airport, but we actually have 15 ski resorts across the state. And in case you didn't know, we're home to the greatest snow on earth, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. We have one of our resorts, I'll also mention later on, in southern Utah that works really well on the road trip, and that's Bryan Head Resort, because it's a chance to ski amongst our red rock. But let's talk a little bit about that greatest snow on earth. And you're going to say that's a pretty conceited comment, Utah, but we've actually had it scientifically proven and registered trademark. And so according to atmospheric scientist Jim Steenberg, as you see at the University of Utah, it's a combination of the climate conditions and the Cottonwood Canyons that creates this deep powder that allows you to float. And the big reason is, if you can imagine picking up a sponge in the Pacific Ocean, driving across the coastal mountain range, some of it precipitates out, and then you could drive it across the desert and it dries out, but then it picks up a little bit extra moisture in the Great Salt Lake and then dumps in our Wasatch Mountain Range. And that's what creates this flotation effect. I can say I'm a proud Canadian. I've skied many Canadian ski resorts in my lifetime. I grew up skiing at Marmot Basin in Jasper, but my best ever ski day, people ask me, was at a place called Powder Mountain in Utah. And I'm going to talk about why in just a minute. So we have 13 meters a year of the lightest, driest snowfalls on these 4 resorts in the Cottonwood Canyons. So these 4 resorts are part of the Salt Lake City or Visit Salt Lake Ski City Super Pass. So you can actually ski all 4 of these resorts on one pass. These are up 2 separate canyons, Big Cottonwood Canyon and Little Cottonwood Canyon, out of Salt Lake City. And at these resorts, you're going to find diverse terrain, excellent ski lessons, and each resort has its own personality, if you will. So Alta is a skiers only resort. If you don't love the snowboarders, that's the one you go to. Snowbird is steeps and deeps and has the iconic aerial tramway that takes you from top to bottom. Brighton is a great family resort and can be skied with Solitude in the same day. They're actually up the same canyon. So 4 great resorts on one single ski city super pass. Many of you, of course, have heard of Park City. It's extremely well known for our Sundance Film Festival, which happens in late January, early February every year. It's a historic mining town, but it's at the base of the largest ski resort in America, Park City Resort. Park City Mountain and Canyons Resort combined into one, and creates the most skiable terrain and boardable terrain of any resort in America. You guys often ask me when I meet you in person or through the Q&A, I heard Utah's dry, like, can you get a drink in Utah? And what we like to actually remind people is that the only thing dry in Utah is the snow. So Park City has its very own ski in, ski out whiskey distillery. It's the only one of its kind in the world. It's actually a full ski in, ski out mountain town with incredible nightlife on Main Street, which is a great place to walk and celebrity spot, of course, during the Sundance Film Festival, but also just to have great food and après ski after an epic day. So as I mentioned, it's home to Park City Mountain. It's also home to Deer Valley Resort. So Deer Valley Resort is also a skiers only resort. It's your Stein Eriksen 5-star ski experience. They limit the number of skiers, even pre-COVID and post-COVID and recovery, on the mountain each day. So you have an incredible ski experience at Deer Valley. And then Woodward is Park City's newest resort. So it's located just at the base of Park City Mountain. And what they do that's interesting is it's a smaller ski resort, but it has an incredible indoor facility for kids, families, adventurers. So it's got a trampoline park, it's got a skate park, it's got sponge pits, and it's got skiable terrain as well. And what's unique about them is they realize you may not spend a whole day there. So on your off day of skiing, you can go there and you actually can buy your lift ticket by the hour rather than by the day. And so that's their unique selling point and a great stop for families and adventurers, as I said, while they're in Park City. Now, on the backside of Deer Valley, you can actually backside of the mountain, you can actually drop down into what we call the Heber Valley. And for the value-conscious traveler that wants a great accommodation property, there's one called the Zermatt Resort in Heber, and they actually offer complimentary shuttles to Park City Mountain and to Deer Valley as well. The backside lift to Deer Valley is only about a 7-minute shuttle ride from their hotel. And why I'm getting to this is as you go around from the Zermatt through Heber Valley, you then get to the Sundance Mountain Resort. So Sundance Mountain Resort is obviously known from the Sundance Film Festival. A lot of the tradition, and it was owned by Robert Redford. That's where the Sundance Film Festival began, was actually at Sundance Resort. And a lot of the memorabilia, the theater still exists at the resort, but it's also home to some awesome skiable terrain. And if you're interested, it's also home to the longest zip line from top to bottom anywhere in the US. And so that all happens at Sundance Resort, which is again, just on the backside through Heber Valley from Park City. And of course, I talked about this resort having my best ski day there. I can't leave our Northern Utah resorts before talking a little bit more about it. So Powder Mountain is actually out of Ogden, which is about an hour north of Salt Lake City. So the guys at the resort here joke that they're 10 minutes too far, because in Utah, all those other resorts we just talked about are between 35 and 50 minutes. But that makes Powder Mountain super special. Powder Mountain, actually, although I said Park City has the most skiable terrain, actually has more skiable terrain than Park City Mountain. But most of it, 60% of it, is accessible via snowcat, as you can see in the photo. So it's not lift accessible. There's a great lift accessible amount of terrain for boarders and skiers. But for those that want to get into some powder, they offer a snowcat pass, which is almost the same as heli skiing, to be honest. I've done both. You get up into the mountains, you can choose your own lines down. And as long as you're an intermediate skier and boarder, you can find a great line and get some fresh tracks and some fresh pow for most of the day, because they move the snowcats throughout the day. So definitely put that one on your bucket list. It's out of Ogden, so just an hour north of Salt Lake. So I know as trade, you like to find out, okay, well, what can I buy and where do I buy it for my clients? And so there's a number of ski passes now available in the market. And I thought I'd just throw them up on the screen and just identify which passes include which resorts in Utah. So the Epic Pass includes Park City Mountain and Snow Basin. So this is an annual ski pass that consumers can buy. Obviously, the Epic Pass, if they have a Whistler Pass and other major resorts in Canada's pass with Epic, then those would apply. There's the Icon Pass, which you can purchase for your clients. That includes 5 of our resorts, The Mountain Collective Pass only includes Alton and Snowbird. I already mentioned the Ski City Super Pass, but of course, all of the resorts also offer individual day passes. There's one product, however, for your adventuresome intermediate plus skier that I always recommend having a look at for your clients that are in this category. It's the Ski Utah Interconnect Tour. This is a chance for an avid skier to ski 6 ski resorts in one day with a guide. So they start at Deer Valley, they ski Deer Valley, Park City. They then do Snowbird, Alta, and then finish with Brighton and Solitude with lunch in the middle. There is some traversing required, so a little bit of fitness is required, but an epic experience. It's the only place in the world you can ski 6 resorts in one day, and that's through skiutah.com. So that's going to give you an overview of the northern part of our state, and obviously with winter coming up and Canadians wanting to come back, some of the ski experiences they can have. But the winter is also a great time to do a road trip through Utah. There's less crowds, and I just kind of wanted to identify what that road trip could look like and give you some options about how they head south. Before going south, however, I just thought I'd throw up a map of what northern Utah looks like. So going north of Salt Lake City, or if you're coming south driving from Canada into Salt Lake City, it's a great opportunity to see some iconic parts of the state and of course neighboring states. So if you head north out of Salt Lake, it'll take you past Antelope Island State Park towards Ogden, which I mentioned had Powder Mountain. Then onwards from there, you can actually head into Grand Teton and Yellowstone National Parks. It's about a 6-hour drive from Salt Lake City. So going east is actually going to take you to Colorado, and you're going to pass through Dinosaur National Monument, which is definitely worth a stop. You can actually visit the Quarry Exhibit Hall and see more than 1,500 displayed fossils. But as I mentioned, what I really want to focus on today is our southern road trip destinations for the winter. So here's the southern part of our state. The orange boxes highlight our mighty 5 national parks, which we are really well known for all year round travel. To give you and I did a bit of an idea of drive times. So from Salt Lake City and the Wasatch ski resorts to Arches National Park on the eastern side of the state, it's approximately a 4-hour drive. If you're driving from Salt Lake City to Bryce Canyon National Park on the western side, again, it's about a 4-hour drive. Zion's about a half an hour further. Going from Arches National Park to Bryce National Park, so going from east back to west, is 4.5 hours. So the distances are not huge and the roads are really well maintained and signposted. If you wanted to go down to Monument Valley, it's about a 3-hour drive from Moab in that southeastern corner. So depending on how much time your clients have, they can choose a route that is 3, 4, 7, or 10 days. And we have sample road trip itineraries and a ton of information on visitutah.com for you. We actually have a trip itinerary planner that we highly recommend. Oh. So we're going to start by heading southeast towards Moab. That's that 4-hour drive. And a great spot to stop along the way for your clients is Helper. So Helper's 2 hours, basically dead in the middle from Salt Lake City. And it's a cute, small historic town based around the coal steam train industry. Artists from across the US have been relocating here and blending that local history with art to create a really cool vibe. It's also one of my favorite places on Main Street in Helper to grab a coffee. They have amazing, incredible coffee and some awesome meal stops on Main Street as well. So check out the art, stop in Helper for your coffee and lunch, and then continue to head southeast to Moab. So Moab is known as the adventure capital of Utah. It is the base camp for both Arches National Park, Canyons National Park, and Dead Horse Point State Park. The town has a really active vibe with lots of adventure outfitters, mountain bikers, and they'll be zipping around town. You'll see tons of off-road vehicles and UTVs and ATVs, and they're common to be parked outside the breweries and coffee bars. The motto in Moab is live like a local, and they welcome people there to experience life outside of their comfort zone. We're talking about road trips at the moment, but I would be amiss if I didn't also speak to another great way to get to Moab starting this year. So the Rocky Mountaineer, who many Canadians, this Canadian-based company, are familiar with, are starting their new Rockies to the Red Rocks route, which will start in Colorado and run a 2-day, 1-night program into Moab, or via reverse. So after you do a drive trip of Utah, you can actually then board the train and head back to Colorado to fly back to Canada. So I mentioned that there, Rocky Mountaineer has a great website, as everyone is aware, but just so you know, there is that no 2-day, 1-night product, and they are accepting travel credits from past Canadian trains onto this US program as well. So get in touch with Rocky Mountaineer if you have clients interested in that. But of course, when they get off that Rocky Mountaineer train or while they're on their self-drive trip, everyone wants to get out and see Arches National Park. It's only about 10 minutes from town north. And once in the park, it's the site of more than 2,000 natural sandstone arches. One of the most renowned and photographed is the one you'll see on the screen, Delicate Arch. It's about a 30-minute drive in, then a 2-kilometer hike up to the arch. In the winter, it may be covered in snow or not. It's really dependent, and it's less common to actually see snow like you see in this picture. Personally, I love going up at sunrise. You can hike up with a head torch and then watch the sun come up as the moon goes down. It's truly an exceptional spot. Canyonlands, which you'll see on the screen here, is only a 35-minute drive from Moab. It's basically the entrance to Canyonland is nearly across the road from the entrance to Arches. What you'll see on the screen is Mesa Arch, which is only an 800-meter walk from the carport for these exceptional car park for these views. Winter is such a great time to visit all of our national parks. I was actually there in February of 2020, just before COVID, and I got this spot all to myself with my little small group of media that I had with me. It is such an awesome time to be there because of the chance to have your own personal experience with some of these spots. So then Dead Horse State Park is between Arches and Canyonlands. It's making it a must-see in the area. If you're a mountain bike rider, there's awesome mountain bike trails across the area, but at Dead Horse State Park as well. There's also stargazing and remote yurts that your clients can book through you. Here you can actually see a photo, although they're mountain bikers, of where Thelma and Louise drove off the cliff in the iconic Hollywood movie. We're going to come back to movies in just a minute. So leaving Moab, Goblin Valley is one of our off the beaten path state parks. Located along the San Rafael Swell, this park is often compared to feeling like you're on Mars, and I hope you can see why. You want to walk through all of the rock formations for hours. It's seriously like being a kid again exploring. For the most adventurous, there's a product called abseiling into the Goblin's Lair, where you can actually walk through the goblins as you'll see on the screen, and then you come to a part where there's nearly 100-meter free rappel taking you into the Goblin's Lair that you can go with a local outfitter to participate in. And it's just an exceptional product as well. But definitely as you head from east to west, recommend your clients stop and experience our Goblin Valley. So now we're heading east to west, and we're going to overnight in Torrey. So Torrey is at the base of Capitol Reef. Capitol Reef is our largest national park in the state. It's located on your drive between Moab and Bryce Canyon. It is the least visited park because of how vast it is, but you can actually take a round trip scenic drive through the park, a hike to Hickman Bridge and the Natural Bridge, and have an exceptional overnight and dinner in Torrey as your clients travel east to west. Utah also leads the world with 23 international dark sky parks across the state. So no matter where you are it's a clear night, so make sure you get out to see it. Capitol Reef National Park has a gold tier rating, and it's absolutely worth getting out and seeing those night skies. So from Torrey, you're going to take one of only 31 designated All-American roads in the USA, which is called Scenic Byway 12. It's the ribbon that connects east to west. This is hands down the most colorful road in the entire nation, with some of the most diverse and rugged landscapes of anywhere. It winds past red rock cliffs, through slick rock canyons, pine and aspen forests, national and state parks, a national monument, and some cool, quaint rural towns. Halfway across this drive, if you have avid hikers, you can recommend that they hike into Calf Creek Falls, which is an iconic waterfall in the middle of the rock, and an exceptional hike. It's a 5 kilometer in and 5 kilometer out round trip hike. Great way to split up Byway 12. And of course, at the end of Byway 12 is Bryce Canyon National Park, famous for the largest collection of hoodoos in the world, distinctive rock formations that you can see on the screen. You can hike the Navajo Trail, which will lead you down through the hoodoos and into the base of the canyon. Bryce Canyon is actually at a higher elevation than the other parks, so it's more likely in the winter road trip that you'll have a dusting of snow while you are there. And of course, that makes it even more magical at times, the white on red. It's really beautiful in the snow. So after you have your experience at Bryce Canyon, you can head onward in southwestern Utah to Kanab. Kanab is a classic American West town located between Zion and Bryce, with a self-proclaimed title, Little Hollywood. There are abandoned film sets near town that are now tourist attractions, and buildings all over town that have plenty of movie posters and autographed actors. It is also a great base camp for road cycling, hiking, and canyoneering. It's not far from the north rim of the Grand Canyon. And if you're feeling lucky, you can try your chance to win a lottery. Every day they hold a lottery at the visitor center to visit the Wave, or to hike the Wave. It's a hike out to a playground of ancient sandstone. Due to its fragile nature, only 20 people per day are permitted to hike into this area. And it's all done through this lottery system. So everyone gets into the visitor center, they give you a number and your party size. And if you're lucky, your literally lottery ball will be drawn out of the canister, and you can head to the Wave. However, if you do not win a permit, as my wife has not yet, you'll see her on the screen, to go to the Wave, you can head out with an outfitter to many other iconic hiking experiences, like White Pocket that you'll see on the screen. It's a very similar experience to the Wave. But then if you're lucky enough to win the lottery, you can hike out to this spot, which is one of the most iconic hikes I've ever experienced in my life. You can see the Wave here on the screen, and that sandstone rock formation that's just been carved over time. And so we always recommend for people to try their luck. For your clients, there's actually an online lottery as well that you can sign up your clients for in advance. It opens, I believe, 3 3 to 4 months in advance. You can check on the Wave lottery page, but they still should go and experience the lottery in person. Other experiences in the area are coral pink sand dunes, which is, again, the Y-Canab is kind of known as the base camp of adventure. You can ATV on these, and you can also sandboard at coral pink sand dunes. So kind of finishing our trip west, we're going to head to the Gateway of Zion National Park, which is the charming town of Springdale. It only has 500 permanent residents and is home to locally managed hotels, B&Bs, farmer markets, art galleries, boutique stores, restaurants, and cafes. It's the best location for accessing Zion for your clients. During the summertime, you take free shuttles in and out of the park. And in wintertime, you can actually take your car in, and parking is available inside the park. So again, less crowds, more flexibility. You can actually park your car. In the summertime, the shuttle system is phenomenal. You don't have to worry about your clients. The shuttles run regularly, and it's a great access point to and from Springdale into Zion to hike and experience. Pretty much wherever you are in Springdale, you're going to be looking up at the canyon. What is unique about this town is they do not allow any chain restaurants, so no McDonald's or mainstream fast foods, all really beautiful cuisine by locally managed residents. Zion is the fourth most visited park in the USA with over 4 million visitors annually. You'll definitely want to make sure you allow time to explore the park. It is not a picture stop. It is a get out and experience it stop. Here you're going to see a shot from Angel's Landing, which is an iconic hike in Zion National Park. Zion has hiking trails for all levels of fitness, from easy, moderate to strenuous. They also have wheelchair accessible trails. When you arrive at the visitor center, they'll give you a map. They'll give your client a map. All trails are well described with details on elevation, fitness levels, and what you can expect where you're out there. The one you see, this hike you see on the screen, is an iconic hike that Zion is extremely well known for and is a must depending on weather conditions. The outfitters in town are able to set you up with dry boots, a hiking pole, and a dry suit in the wintertime. It is an out and back walk with no elevation gain or loss into the narrow slot canyon. It's absolutely worth it. So basically you hike out as far as you can, and then you walk back. Yes, it can be a bit chilly. You'll be in knee to waist deep water. But again, the outfitters set you up so you don't even feel the cold because you'll have the right gear, and it's super fun. So on the winter road trip, just north of Zion is Bryan Head Ski Resort. It's 4 hours south of Salt Lake City or northeast of Las Vegas. It's a great combination when you're visiting Bryce and Zion on your southern road trip to add a day skiing amongst the Red Rocks. And the Red Rocks here are actually a national monument. It's called Cedar Breaks National Monument, and it's 5 minutes from Cedar Breaks National Park from Bryan Head. So basically you can see it from the ski resort. You can also snowmobile out to it with a local outfitter, and you'll see tons of local outfitters at the ski resorts taking and shuttling people out on snowmobiles to Cedar Breaks, which I actually did on my last trip pre-COVID, and it was just an iconic experience. So the one spot we didn't talk about on our east to west road trip, which is another option, is if you're doing an extended itinerary, you definitely want to make sure you include Monument Valley. It's a 2-hour to 2.5-hour drive from Moab on the southeastern corner of the state. It's an iconic symbol of the American West and is sacred heart of the Navajo Nation. You can create your very own Forrest Gump moment from the iconic movie where Forrest stopped to turn around after walking for 3 years, 2 months, 14 days, and 16 hours. In a follow-up to this, we'll be sending out links to different video content, and I actually personally made my own Forrest Gump movie that we will share with you so that you can experience this. This spot on the highway is so well photographed now that they've actually made a turning pull-out lane for car parking so that everyone can have their own forest moment, but just outside of Monument Valley. So I've talked about a few films throughout today's presentation, but during COVID, we are proud to say that we now have another registered trademark brand for the state, and that is Utah America's Film Set. Film is so important to the state because Utah's been the backdrop for thousands of films since the beginning of the industry in the 1920s. And it still is a vital and thriving part of our tourism industry today. Utah's diverse, iconic, and unique landscape continue to make it a destination for filmmakers. It was in 1935, John Ford was looking to film a Western on location, something that wasn't really done at the time. He fell in love with the photos of Monument Valley in southern Utah and came out to shoot Stagecoach, the first of 7 classic Westerns that paved the way for an entire era of filmmaking. Then, of course, Robert Redford, who we always talked about, was already living in Provo Canyon in 1968. He was fresh from his role in Barefoot in the Park. He already knew and loved Utah and convinced the director, who had been looking at New Mexico, to come back and look at the St. George area for the new film, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Of course, this launched 2 things that have become synonymous for Utah: Sundance Resort, which I talked about, and the Sundance Film Festival. Today, Utah continues to be a draw for storytellers from around the world. Feature film production in Utah represents $450 million in economic impact over the last 10 years. On the screen, you'll just see some of the iconic films that have used Utah as a backdrop. And would you believe that 30% of travelers to Utah that we've surveyed report that they made their decision to visit based on a film or a television show? These are some of the great winter films that particularly feature snow, of course, that have been shot in Utah. And yes, Dumb and Dumber wasn't in Aspen. Who knew? But yeah, what's interesting is we have an entire site for you and your travelers dedicated to film locations and film itineraries. So as part of a Utah experience in the winter, you can actually click on all the different films, see where they're located, see where they were shot, and more information about those. So the link to access is film.utah.gov/Utah America's Film Set. But again, we'll follow up with this. And on that site, there's a great kind of 2-minute teaser of all the films shot in Utah that we'll make sure we include as well in follow-up. So that's a real overview of Utah 101 and combining our greatest snow on earth ski experience with a Southern Utah road trip. I'm pleased that some of our partners in the state want to offer through Travel Week a deeper dive for you as we prepare to welcome more Canadians. And so we have a series of 4 additional webinars coming up that'll show you a deeper dive from our partners, beginning August 26th with Salt Lake City, and then followed by Kanab and Kane County, that wave lottery. They'll talk about that, I'm sure. And then Heber Valley with the Zermatt Resort and the Crater and a whole bunch of other cool experiences. And then Logan to finish up on October 19th. So definitely mark your calendars. My contact details are on the screen, and we'll follow up with those as well. But if you need help itinerary planning, with marketing and assets, anything like that, I'm your guy, and would be pleased to help you package and sell Utah. And of course, with the new COVID-19, we have an entire section of our site dedicated to travel requirements, what's happening in the state. And so that's on the screen as well. In summary, 5 national parks, 7 national monuments, 6 national forests, 44 state parks, 15 resorts, 23 dark sky parks, and 1 American film set. And I just want to again thank Travel Week for the time, for the partnership. They've been super helpful through the pandemic for us as a state. And we look forward to working more with them and with all of you. So yeah, happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Corey. Just reminding everyone to put your questions in the Q&A box and I'll go through them. Wow, you certainly don't have a hard job, promoting such a fabulous state. Gosh, just those pictures, it kind of promotes itself.
Yeah.
I had a question. I
Sure.
know Park City is, we wanted to kind of compare a place to Whistler, which had the amazing skiing and then the nightlife and the restaurants. Like Park City would possibly be a place to go. Are there any other ski resorts that you would be able to combine the daytime and the nighttime activities?
So I'll answer that 2 ways. Park City is a great place. Deer Valley is a ski resort that's obviously right out of Park City. So that's another one that ski in, ski out into town, into Park City. So the others, they have ski in, ski out. Some of them have ski in, ski out on mountain accommodation. like up at Alta and Snowbird, there is a resort you can stay at, not the town experience, because literally that accessibility factor is so close. So Salt Lake City is only like 25 minutes from Alta and Snowbird. It's 35 from the airport, but from Salt Lake, it's 25 to 30, right? So most people that are skiing the ski city resorts are staying in Salt Lake. And for the value conscious Canadian traveler, they're also staying in Salt Lake and skiing Park City just because it's so accessible. So Heber Valley, so Sundance Ski Resort also has their own on-mountain accommodation. So a lot of the resorts do have that ski in, ski out experience that Canadians are looking for. But in terms of the big Whistler, Park City Mountains, year one. Yeah.
Yeah, it is actually so cool that you're able to stay in Salt Lake City and, access so many different resorts. It must be quite unique. I can't think of anywhere else in the world that would have that kind of access.
Not the size of resorts. Like we get a lot of competition from Japan, and Japan have a number of resorts, but they're smaller resorts than what we have in Utah. And obviously they don't have the greatest snow on earth. But.
Yeah, that's what came to my mind, Japan. But even Vancouver, like, we're so proud that we have like 3 or 4 that you can access from Vancouver, but 10 is like a whole nother ballgame.
Yeah.
And do you know what they're planning on doing on the mountains this year in regards to social distancing and keeping people in their bubbles?
Yeah, sure. So skiutah.com is kind of the umbrella organization for all of the ski resorts in Utah. A great resource tool for those sorts of upcoming, what this year looks like. But what I will say is Utah had a strong domestic ski year this past year, where they put protocols in place at each of the resorts, and it involved mandatory masks on lifts, which people just pulled up their buffs, traveling with your party, etc. What this year's looks like, I think, is highly dependent on everything we all deal with now, vaccine rollouts, but there will be protocols in place to make sure everyone's safe, and the Ski Utah kind of leads the way in that.
And is Utah a state that tends to be on the more cautious side in regards to COVID, or are they a little bit more freedom loving?
Wow, that's a tough question. So no different to a lot of destinations. So we have parts of Utah which are very I think everyone wants the safety of the visitor, especially in the tourism industry. That's number one. Number two, we have some of Utah. Park City is like, I was talking to the GM of Park City the other day, and he said they're like 73% vaccinated. So highly vaccinated part of the state. Parts of Utah believe it or not, didn't have a lot of COVID because they have wide open spaces. And so those parts of the state sometimes, they didn't see the need maybe to be vaccinated as quickly as others, but they're on track. I was speaking with head office the other day, and they're just encouraging, again, as you're seeing across the US, I think we're trying to get that last 10%,
Don't worry, those holdouts all over the world.
We just need that last 10%, and
yeah,
everyone will feel a lot more.
With the trends we're seeing post-COVID, definitely people want to be outdoors. Definitely the more space, the better. You want a quick flight, not some massive transatlantic flight. US is a pretty safe, considered a safer country these days because of their leading the way in the vaccination. So I think there is a lot of things playing in Utah's favor. Hopefully this winter and into the summer.
We saw the latest report from Travel Market Insights, which is our research firm, and we're actually, because of these wide open spaces, as you've seen through the photos even, and with kind of the outdoor adventure, self-drive, stay in your own bubble in your car, we're really set up for that. We're actually tracking about 5% ahead in terms of our estimated return to travel or visitation than a lot of our other US destinations, which we're pretty excited about.
Wow, that's great. Congratulations. Okay, I do have one question from Catherine. I know you already spoke to this, but can you just reiterate it for everyone? They just want to know exactly where the border stands right now and whether Canadians can get in or not.
Okay, well, I will always say it's best to refer to the Canadian government website because this is a changing variable. However, so vaccinated American travelers can travel to Canada, so in that direction, across the land border as of August the 9th. That's a fact. With testing. So that being said, the air border has been open for vaccinated Canadians. So that's why you can fly. I mean, I have my colleague Heather from Vancouver is heading into Utah. And she's flying in and flying home, and she is fully vaccinated. So there are testing requirements returning to Canada. But again, just refer to that Canadian, the COVID Canadian federal government website. That's kind of your best up-to-date information.
Yeah, I was actually in the States over the pandemic, and Canadians can fly into the US. The US only banned China, UK, Europe, Iran, like a few places. They didn't actually ban Canadians from flying in, but then the land border is a different situation. At the moment, you can't drive into the US, but we're really hoping that that changes soon. There's like rumblings in the news that Biden, wants to open it up. So hopefully that happens soon.
It's a rolling 21st of the month closure. I mean, you guys are probably aware with that. So we're all hopeful August the 21st is that reciprocity. But yeah, but I think that's a confusion that's happening is everyone thinks, oh, it's closed, but the air border you can still come in on with testing.
Yeah, it was like a bit of I don't want to call it a loophole, but it was, not being advertised in the media as much as one would like. Okay, we don't have any other questions. Corey, do you want to give one last inspirational message to the travel agents out there?
Yeah, sure. I think we appreciate obviously your dedication to the industry, staying with tourism and being a travel agent during the pandemic. We want to be here to support you on the other side, and Utah supported everyone through it as well, through trying to maintain education and awareness. We're excited to welcome you back, and we'll be following up with some of our iconic video content for you all and selecting our winner. And we sure can't wait for you and your clients to come back and see us and do a winter road trip 21-22 this year. Believe it or not, it's going to be possible.
Okay, Corey, thank you so much for being here. Agents, thank you for being here. We appreciate you taking the time to learn about beautiful, beautiful Utah. We are going to be drawing the prize, so we will email the winner. And as Corey said, we have more webinars about Utah coming up soon, so sign up for those. And otherwise, have a great day and hopefully see you all in Utah soon. Bye, Corey. Take care.
Hey guys, thanks, guys.